Good afternoon, guys. Aaron Dorr here at the New York State Firearms Association with the official NYSFA video recap on the November 5 general election. And guys, everyone knows this was the biggest election of my lifetime. It was the biggest success at election time in my entire lifetime. We have lived for 4 years under absolute tyranny, not just from Kathy Hochul, but from President Biden, from Kamala Harris, and from an entire weaponized bureaucracy, ATF, FBI, everything, trying to demonize, attack, and subjugate anybody who stood up and opposed their crazy liberal agenda items. And on Tuesday, this country sent a message to the radical left, to Kamala Harris, and we will not sit by and be ruled by tyrants. We will not stand by as our right to keep and bear arms is destroyed in a way that is 100% not constitutional. It was a hell of a night. There's no two ways of saying it. I'm going to run down kind of some of the numbers that we have right now at the federal level and give you guys some of the exciting news here in New York as well, because there's a lot going on here that you guys need to be aware of. First of all, as of right now, Friday afternoon, Trump has 295 electoral college votes. He's expected to win both Nevada and likely Arizona. He's ahead in both of those states right now. Most of the votes have been counted. And if he does, Trump's going to have 312 freaking electoral college votes, a complete destruction of Kamala Harris's campaign. You know, a lot of times the Democrat candidate wins the popular vote and the Republican candidate wins the electoral college. That's not the case in this vote, or in this case. Trump has 4 million more votes right now banked versus Kamala Harris. So it wasn't just an obliteration of electoral college numbers. It was a popular vote obliteration as well. A total repudiation of Kamala Harris's hatred of gun owners, of freedom, the Second Amendment. It was just a great night. Here in New York, here's a big thing here. Here in New York, obviously, Kamala Harris, I almost said Joe Biden, but it's the same thing. Obviously, Kamala Harris won New York. But here's the thing. Trump got 44% of the vote. 44%. And we have not had a Republican nominee in this state hit numbers like that since 1988. It was George H.W. Bush who got that number, almost the same number, 1988. So, folks, we're approaching 40 years since New Yorkers have gone for Republican in this number. And so to see this massive surge of New Yorkers going to vote for a Republican nominee is a very encouraging thing. You know, everyone wrote off the closeness of the Zeldin-Hochul race in 2022 as a one-off. That's not the case anymore. When you see what happened in that race and you see what happened a couple nights ago, it is clear that New Yorkers are moving towards freedom. They're moving away from Hochul's freaking insanity and her gun control agenda. And they're beginning to lose some real confidence in their steps right now in Albany, because these numbers do not lie. And it scares them as they approach 2026. So yeah, Trump lost New York, no big surprise, but dang, he got 44% of the vote, and everyone's talking about that. You know, at the Senate level, changing gears there for a few moments, we had 51 Republican senators as of Tuesday. Excuse me, I misspoke. 49 Republican senators, 51 Democrat senators on Tuesday morning. Our own Chuck Schumer, as everyone knows, has run the chamber now for a couple of years. And the question was, what was going to happen to the Senate? It was always expected that gun owners would take control of that chamber. West Virginia and Montana were two races where the Democrats were basically screwed, and they were. And so right away on election night, we picked up Montana, picked up West Virginia. That brought us to 51. The problem, though, with 51 is two people, Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski from Alaska and Maine, or Maine and Alaska, said it backwards. These are Republican backstabbing traitors. Think like Chris Jacobs, if you're from Western New York. They always support gun control. They rarely support Trump's agenda. They rarely back his nominees the first time he was in the White House. And if we had a 51-seat Republican-controlled Senate, that'd be a real problem, because these two would have the power to block anything they wanted to do. Thankfully, that's not going to happen because gun owners in nearby Pennsylvania threw Bob Casey the hell out of office. And in, relatively speaking, nearby Ohio, gun owners threw Sherrod Brown out of office as well. And right now we have a 53 Republican-controlled GOP conference in the Senate. But there's more coming because Nevada has not yet been called. And as of right now, Trump has a decent victory there in the GOP margin there, I should say. And the GOP nominee in Nevada for the Senate race is also ahead right now, and most of the votes have been counted. That race right now is expected to go to the Republican nominee. That would give us 54. And guys, there is actually a chance right now that Kari Lake in Arizona rides on Trump's coattails, and she may possibly pick up a victory in Arizona. That's a very tough call right now. It's too close for anyone to know for sure. I would say it's a coin toss. If she gets it, it's 55. So again, Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski can sit in the back of the Senate chamber and cry their eyes out. They'll have this much power to stop Trump's agenda in the Senate. So a huge victory for gun voters in that chamber. When it comes to the House in D.C., of course, New York has been kind of ground zero to see if the Democrats could peel back seats from Long Island. As of right now, things are too close to call in various states. As of right now, it looks like the GOP is going to hold on to the chamber with somewhere between 218 and 220 votes. It is the narrowest margin in well over 100 years of controlling the House. 218 is the magic number. 218 is control of the chamber. Problem is you need more than that by far to really advance pro-gun policies, because we've got people like, well, Chris Jacobs, he's gone now, but others like that, Republicans who are very, very bad on the Second Amendment, who would be a real obstacle. So we would need 230 for sure to have any real chance of moving major pro-gun bills. But honestly, I'll just be candid with you, the real goal, frankly, has been just to get 218, because if Hakeem Jeffries has 218, then they're going to spend the next 2 years on a witch hunt trying to, again, impeach President Trump. Why? I don't know why. They wouldn't need a reason why. They might not like his tie. And it doesn't matter. If Hakeem Jeffries is Speaker of the House, if the Democrats have 218, they will spend the next 2 years of Trump's life trying to impeach him. They will impeach him. It'll die in the Senate chamber, and we've lost 2 more years in this country. And so having 218, if that's all we have, it will still deny Hakeem Jeffries the ability to attack President Trump with another bogus impeachment investigation. So that's the situation right now in D.C. Let's turn it back more locally here to New York State. Here's the good news first, right out of the gate. The Democrats have lost their supermajority control of the New York State Senate. That's because of gun owners. That's because of you. Kathy Hochul has lost her supermajority finally in the New York State Senate. One of the biggest defeats that she had on election night was Senator Ewan Chu, Senate District number 17. This is largely Brooklyn. This is a very swing seat, and Ewan Chu won her race in 2022 by a very narrow margin, but she acted like she represented an extreme liberal community. So she backed all of Hochul's gun control agenda, a total lefty wacko, even as Brooklyn was devoured by violent crime for the last 2 years. And so we focused a lot of our resources in that race, digital ads, text messages, emails. I think our digital ad reached over 210,000 likely pro-gun people in the district. Yeah, 210,000. Plus email, plus text. And Steve Chan won that race on election night. And folks, it wasn't even close. 10% was the margin of defeat for Ewan Chu in SD 17. So a huge pickup for gun owners in that district. Another big victory for gun voters was District 43, north and east of Albany. Senator Jake Ashby has been a great ally for gun owners for his time in the Senate. And he was number one or number two, the way it seemed, on Hochul's hate list for quite some time. The Democrats came after him very hard. They wanted him gone very bad. And we focused, again, a lot of resources in that race: digital, text, email, social, the whole 9 yards. And Jake Ashby destroyed Alvin Gamble, the leftist that they pushed against him on election nights last Tuesday. So another big success there for gun voters. So there's a lot more races across the state. For the most part, not a lot changed in terms of most of the same incumbents are going back to Albany in both the Assembly and the Senate. The Assembly remains a supermajority Democrat-controlled chamber, but the Assembly does. But the Senate chamber now, as I said, has lost that supermajority control. So there is a movement going on here in New York right now that nobody can deny. Trump picks up 44%. Hochul has lost her supermajority in the Senate. We have congressional seats that everyone thought the Dems would pick up. They're not picking them up right now. And we've seen gun voters take out some of Kathy Hochul's leading allies in the New York State Senate. So big victory, guys. And it's happening for a lot of factors, for a lot of reasons. Number one is President Trump. Obviously, he is mobilizing lots of people to engage in the process. But number two is the New York State Firearms Association. It's you guys. Because for too long, we've heard in Albany that nobody mobilizes gun owners at election time, that nobody is trying to get gun voters to turn out at election time. Now, look, sometimes, and certain candidates in particular don't deserve our support. There are Republicans in Albany who vote for red flag gun seizures under Cuomo, or who voted for safe storage laws under Cuomo. And when that happens, they're not worthy of our support. But man, the last couple of years have been pretty one-sided. The CCIA, the Concealed Carry Improvement Act, the tyrannical bullshit that Kathy Hochul passed in 2022, that was a party line vote, at least in the Senate chamber it was. And so what we're seeing is Republicans acting more like Republicans, and we're seeing gun owners, because they're being mobilized and organized by the New York State Firearms Association, coming out at election time and having their back. We're still waiting right now, frankly, for one more race, SD 50. Open seat race. It's this close right now. That might also be a big pickup for gun owners. We're going to wait and see. It's very close right now. The GOP nominee is upside down in the race, but again, the margin is this close. So we're going to wait and see. So I'm not going to sit here and say that everything is great in New York State when it comes to gun rights. Far from it. You guys all know that. But it's important to note that we are heading in a good direction right now. It's important to note that a massive number of additional people are voting. Gun voters are voting in these elections, and that's how Trump got 44% of the vote. That's how Kathy Hochul lost her Senate supermajority. That's how people like Ewan Chu lost their job, because gun voters are organized and we're mobilized, and we're sending a message in November. So I expect nothing but more battle in 2025 with Kathy Hochul. She's going to, if anything, she's going to be a vengeful, angry tyrant who is going to be looking to attack us even more, because gun voters have destroyed their national agenda. Probably the same thing's going to happen in California. Same thing's going to happen in Maryland. It's going to happen in Michigan. All of these commie governors are going to try to screw down that much harder on gun voters. But you know what? We're going to keep fighting that fight. And the more they do that, the more they activate and mobilize additional gun voters. So there's a lot coming at us next session. We're going to see for sure a resurgence of the 10-day waiting period. This bill passed the Senate chamber last year. It died in the Assembly, largely because the calendar ran out. And we're also going to see, I'm sure, resumed effort on mental health exams for gun owners. This is truly nasty stuff. Guys, we'll be there fighting the entire time. We have a major update regarding our federal court case. We're going to save that for the next video. But for tonight, just please take my deepest thanks for all of your support of this organization over the last 12 months. What we have done here on November 5 is monumental. What we're doing right now to stop gun control is a major fight in Albany. Our fights in federal court are a big, big deal, and all of it is made possible by you guys. So thank you very much. Much more to come in the days ahead. For now, thank you and stay safe.